Hey there, Goa fans. This is Mark DJ Solitaire here with episode 82 of Retro Goa Explorations, my series in which I share in every episode one of my favorite tracks from the 1990s Goa Trance psychedelic dance movement. So today's track is the first one featuring this particular artist who did not produce a whole lot of tracks, but holy moly, they are amazing, and there is such a wonderful backstory. Um, and I've been in touch with the producer first time we had never met back in the day, but this track made a huge impact on me when I got my grubby little hands on it on that promo CD, the first pre-release CD that I got my hands on, thanks to John Perloff, actually the manager of Matsuri, when he gave me, not in this case, but in a clear vinyl sleeve, this Resonance Mood compilation, which ended up looking really different when it was released. But Tsuyoshi was at the time really into breaking the boundaries and those limitations of Goa Trance, right? And it was either this CD or another one that actually said something like Goa Trance is dead. And I think the intention there was really the fact that things were getting too boxed in for a scene that is supposed to be really about breaking boundaries. And so, I mean, in this compilation, he certainly did that. And it was really, really memorable and still is in so many ways. And so this track here is first time I heard this artist. And it is just the track is just so unbelievably different from absolutely anything else. I mean, there's a really wonderful flow. With the whole sequencing here, which is kind of again the case, this beautiful storyline on these compilations. And so this one that we're going to be listening to is by Deflo, who is that's the project name of Laurent de Flores. So if you take a look at his name, de Flores, Deflo, Deflo. There you go. In French, I mean, they also abbreviate McDonald's as McDo, right? So cool little abbreviation. And I'm not pronouncing the name of the track yet because it's been mispronounced all this time. I reached out to him and he has been incredibly gracious with wonderful insights. Apparently, I'm the only one who ever asked him what the deal was with this track. Uh, and the title of the track, spelled Tío Mate, which is how everybody pronounced it, is not how it's pronounced. It's Spanish. And it comes from this William S. Burroughs book that Laurent said had a huge impact on him. And it's pronounced Tío Mate, according to my Mexican trance consultant, Patricio Tron. Thank you, buddy. And you turn to page 12, and they bring in reinforcements to the faltering lower balcony. Tío Mate stalks out, followed by his adolescent Ka El Mono. Trans fans will recognize that title as well as another Deflo production. So there we go. William S. Burroughs is the source for that. The pronunciation is Tío Mate, not Tayo Mate, which is how everybody was pronouncing it. And that everybody had no clue. And to be honest, really, everybody had no clue what to make of this track when it hit because it was so unbelievably like in another whole other style and dimension and everything. It was absolutely perfect for what Tsuyoshi was aiming for. And mission accomplished. When I first got this compilation, of course, I listened to everything and was just blown away. And then my local French dot mafia chapter president, who is living in my neighborhood, Emeric, who is a good friend of Chris Calvin, he came over for a listening and trading session. And we sat, we didn't sit actually, I think we were standing most of the time uh, in front of the speakers listening to one track after another. And this one I just remember both of us being like, in that TV commercial, I think it's a Memorex or I don't know what, where you're sort of like you're sitting in the armchair and sort of just being completely blasted. I just remember at the end of this track where this voice trails off, we were both like, I mean, it completely blasts you into another dimension, and there's so much going on. But I want to share some of the wonderful insights that Laurent was gracious enough to share with us, and thank you so much for this. Um, so let's start off. At the time, I was working at a training center for show technicians, and I had bought myself a rather cheap kit to produce sound at night at home. One of the students at the school who had just started a label heard one of my test mixes and suggested that I release it. So I eventually produced Kyle Mono on Panama Records, who knows if it's Paname, my first release and the second of the label. It was very well received on Radio FG, Fréquence Gay, by Patrick Rognon, who played the title every day. We also started to hear the DJs were playing the record, Goa Gill, Sid Shanty, James Monroe, etc. One day I came home from work and I got a message from someone who spoke English by imitating the Japanese accent, and I got a good laugh because all my friends knew that Tsuyoshi was my favorite DJ producer, and I thought it was a joke from one of my friends. Apparently it wasn't. I never found out how he got my number. So that's how this track came to be made. So a little bit more background. When I started making music at home in late 95, I didn't have the idea of producing records. In the mid 80s, I had realized that I didn't enjoy myself being on stage, and I stopped being in bands, post-punk, industrial, etc. I did not try to get my tracks heard or contact any label. It just happened just like that. And I've thought ever since that music itself had to go somewhere, and even with its imperfection, it found a way, in a manner of speaking. The fact is that after about 2 years, the circle was closed and I left that behind me. This explains why I didn't want to play live. I liked the parties, even if not a dancer, Trance Body Express, Gaia, Return to the Source, etc. But I had discovered this kind of event at the mythical Mosinor in the early 90s a few years before. So soon after Tsuyoshi's proposal, I set up my gear in my best friend's attic. I had set up an igloo tent in the room, and I would sleep there when my eyes started to close in front of the Atari. I used an Akai S3200 sampler, an Ovation base station, Nord Lead 1, and a Yamaha CS30. I worked for months on this one track because I was touring a lot of the time, and I must say that when I was alone with the machines, I'd turn totally nuts. To be fair, I have to admit that I was never able to respect the deadlines when it came to delivering the tracks to Matsuri. I'm not very proud of that. Sorry, Tsuyoshi. For the record, the triggered reversed voice sample came from those commercials and jingles at the beginning of I Can See from Miles on the Who Sellout album. And as a child, I never had music theory lessons. Pretty wild, eh? And there's also some samples from a Musique des Pygmées Bibiac, like basically pygmy music. That's in there as well. So really interesting and rich background. And I have to say that, from my classical work as well, I've often found that the musicians who don't seek the limelight or sometimes actively avoid it are often the ones who really truly deserve it. And of course, it doesn't mean that the ones who are there don't deserve it. And deserve is a bit of an odd word, but in any case, not to get bogged down by that, I do find it interesting that, again, this guy produced just a few tracks and then just decided, okay, this is it, and Nick Doof as well. He did all of that for years, and then he's like, no, I'm turning the corner. I'm going to do something else. And just, that particular chapter is closed. So with this track, I always thought that there was a whole lot that sounded like gunfire happening in this track. And what's interesting about this character, Tío Mate, is he's an assassin. Let me just find the page. Tío Mate is an old assassin with 12 deer on his gun. A thin, ghostly old man with eyes the color of a faded gray flannel shirt. He wears a black suit with a black Stetson. Under the coat, a single-action Smith & Wesson tip-up 44 with a 7-inch barrel is strapped to his lean flank. Tío Mate wants to put another deer on his gun before he dies. So I'll be pointing out the gunfire. I think you might start to recognize it. It really takes on actually a Tarantino-esque quality here because it's just so incredibly over the top that it's just magnificent. Again, it's like where the trance music was really, I think, always, and here especially we're starting to see branching out into different kinds of sounds and different territories and how they can all really fit in a story. So with all of that background, let's listen to the whole, like, what the heck am I listening to? Incredible production by Deflo, Tío Mate. Very operatic, dramatic atmosphere, right? Incredible. I mean, this anguish and this sort of chorus, this very operatic quality. Love this riff. Combination of the voice with that, and then this incredible sound coming. And honestly, the first time I put this on, I just didn't know what hit me. And then this build up here. That chorus, I mean, it's like, again, that sort of ancient Greek chorus, you know, presenting something really dramatic, very operatic, very orchestral. Those sounds, I mean, this was really cutting edge at the time. It was just this massive sonority in that lower frequency. And voices everywhere. Again, keep in mind that kind of assassin sort of, this really very dark. And, this sounds for me less kind of Western, but more of, again, this really futuristic atmosphere, which actually does tie in with the William S. Burroughs. And the rhythm of that riff is really catchy as well. It's super futuristic. All of a sudden there's a robotic voice there as well. Again, not a whole lot of different riffs, but there's this incredible storyline that's being created already from these. And what's interesting for me, I mean, at the time, I thought it was German. I mean, it really has this kind of German operatic, very Wagner-esque kind of thing, but also that sort of hard German, kind of, you can imagine a nightclub in Hamburg where everybody's in black dancing to this. That sort of hammering, that sort of has a bit of a machine gun kind of sound to me. Little break here for these chopped up voices here. Upper frequency is beautiful there. Now we're going to get this incredible build-up. Such a catchy riff. And then this is the Tarantino moment here. It's just like almost comical. How like just this intensity, it's absolutely incredible. Beautiful 3-note riff there, and then And that comes back again. Super hypnotic riff. And this rhythm, this insistence. Very clever little shift in direction. Again, just organic storytelling. Alrighty then. Some robotic voices and then back to that one. There's the interplay between that human voice and that really synthetic one. Just a lot of swirling madness. What a creative break. Voice gets me every time. Again, more of that insistence. That's just that hammering home of that point, right? Again, some more of this wild, industrial style aggression here. I love this note that's climbing here. Slow climb. And then super massive alien voices here, really. This is, when you're in that party space, this is just voices everywhere. Again, that loop. And then, fascinating conclusion. I mean, really, that is one where you just need to light one up afterwards. 'Cause it's kind of like you're gonna have the smoking barrel of the gun and you're gonna end up smoking one also. I mean, holy, what was that? Honestly, Emmerich and I just looked at each other and we were absolutely silent. We could not say anything, which between me and, him as a French stat mafia collector, pretty rare occasion. So, completely blasted. So this was, I probably got this, in April or May. I think it came out in May, June. And there was a time around then that Simon Posford was going to be playing in Birmingham, and he had to play a DJ set as well as a live set. And he's like, "Have you got any music?" I was like, he's asking me, I don't have anything, And I just like, "I got this new Matsuri thing." He came over and heard this, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" It's like, this is different, it's not extreme. It's not, Infinity Project, not what we're used to. So he took it, and he did play it. It was, I need to play something different. Well, let's try this out. So this got played by Simon Posford in Birmingham. for a gig that I drove up for with some friends. Nick Tooth played as well. Didn't play this. So yeah, very, very different kind of track. And of course, right, I was very much still in my I want the spacey stuff. I want, like I'm missing a lot of the bleeps and so on. And I've talked about that, but I'm also a pretty full spectrum kind of guy. And I'm into this, what I've termed the sort of the cyber rock thing, when it's if it's well blended. And you listen to this and you think, Fatima Mansions, again by Juno Reactor. As a child, I Could Walk on the Ceiling, right, which came out just a couple of months before this, which, as I stated, and I didn't like initially, and then I really got behind it. And this is part of that whole super dramatic operatic nighttime, space opera, cyber rock situation. And God, I love this track. Again, completely unique, whole other story. There's nothing like it. And really, really happy to have it in this series. And thank you so much to Laurent de Flores for sharing these incredible details about this masterpiece. So I'm going to sign off here and leave you with the entire track without my commentary. I am Mark, DJ Solitaire, wrapping up episode 82 and leaving you with the complete track by Deflo, Tío Mate.